Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Local Pundit. I'm Josh Anthony. This is an interview with a very, very special guest who we're having on the show today, an absolute legend in Wrexham and a cornerstone of the community. He hosts a weekly vlog on the Men in Blazers media network. This week in Wrexham, the Local Pundit welcomes the one and only Mr. Tomi Caws. Nice to meet you, man.
And you, mate. Thank you very much. Very nice welcome. I'm not sure I'm any of those things that you describe me as, but I'll take it all day long. So thank you.
Well, our researchers told me to say that, so that's what I put it there. But yeah, so no, it's good to have you on, and nice to finally meet you. And this is the first time we've ever spoken. We just did a two seconds in, but yeah, I figured we'd jump right in. So thank you for coming on. I know everyone is excited to hear from you on our local pundit community. So thank you. Yeah, I always start out with like an origin story. So tell us about your origin story, who you are, how you got into what you're doing. Give it to us.
Yeah, I suppose in a nutshell, I mean, I'm from a town called Denby, which is 25 miles from Wrexham, and yeah, I remember my grandfather, my tide, as we say in Wales, took me to watch Wrexham. As a quite a young child, I think about 10 or 11, I think, and my parents, a lot of my family supported Everton, still do. But me and my grandfather were Wrexham fans from when I was a young age and from when he was a young age. So we're the odd ones out in the family, really, the black sheep, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a really hard road to get to where we are now. But I think both of us definitely think we've made the right decision. But yeah, in terms of my own background, I've sort of worked in factories my whole working life, and I'm not a very well educated man. I'm not particularly intelligent in anything, but I've been lucky to work in a number of different fields, and that's landed me here where I've been able to do the work that I'm doing now with Men in Blazers, which I've really, really enjoyed. It's been fantastic to meet so many new people, and that's probably a reason, one of the reasons why you've asked me on here today. So I'm very, very grateful, and I just think as well, I just want to say at that point, I think it's fantastic how many different sort of outlets and different podcasts and different shows surrounding Wrexham Football Club and various things that are out now, and I think we're spoiled, really. I think it's fantastic. So yeah, keep up the good work, everyone.
Yeah, more on it. Like I said, I've been watching a bunch of stuff lately just to kind of get to know a little bit. I mean, for me, you're kind of living a lot of people's dream doing that job, what you do, and do things you love, obviously. And people have been asking me to ask you this, like, so how did you make that transition? How did you get into the Men in Blazers? Because how did they find you? How did you make that transition?
Yeah, I mean, it came completely out of the blue, to be honest, Josh. I mean, I remember Rog from Men in Blazers got in touch with me. I said to Rog, and I still say it to everyone now, I wasn't massively aware of Men in Blazers because Men in Blazers weren't, I think it's fair to say, massive on this side of the pond, really. But in America, obviously, it's a different deal. I think I think it's fair to say they're quite a big deal in America, and I definitely saw that when they invited me over to Philly last summer to watch Wrexham. I was able to spend a lot of time with those guys. And yeah, it went from there, really. And we've been able to sort of, I think it was the Accrington Stanley game back in November, which was the first show we produced. And I feel like we've gone from strength to strength, really. I think we've got better and better. And hopefully the viewers have thought that as well. And it has been like living the dream. It really has. I feel very, very privileged and lucky to be able to follow the club I love. And to do this wonderful, wonderful job, I suppose. And it's incredible, and the thing that's really pleased me is the feedback we've had. I mean, as you know, you put yourself out in the sort of public domain, etc. You will always get detractors, you will always get people criticizing, but I can honestly say, hand on heart, there has been very, very few people criticizing, and that's just a wonderful thing. Everything I've ever done, be it putting my bins out on a Monday morning or doing Wrexham-related content, I've been criticised, as everyone has, and that's the way it is. But this is one thing which I can honestly say, and it's very, very pleasing to me that we've had such amazing feedback, and yeah, long may it continue. Listen, it's not perfect; we're still learning every single week, but yeah, it's been an amazing ride, really, especially with the team doing so well.
Yeah, sometimes things just have that magic, and I think that Rob and Ryan and everyone that's included into the whole community and the club just kind of have that magic. And I think what you're doing, this week in Wrexham, it just has that little touch of magic. Sometimes that works out. And I always say too, if everyone's thinking 100%, you're great, you're doing something wrong. If everyone hates you, you're doing something wrong. So you got to have a little bit there, or else there's a little bit of honesty in what you're doing. So that's good. I think it's awesome. But on that note, just want to ask though, so Raj, you never knew him before. You weren't doing vlogs before. He was like, how did he find you?
Well, I should say at this point, I was working as a journalist for a couple of years. I was very lucky. One of the fearless guys, Andy Gilpin, was able to give me a leg up, give me a bit of help getting into that sort of industry. Yeah. I've been very, very lucky. I've had a lot of help along the way. I could never have achieved. I haven't really achieved anything, but I could never have done some of the things I've been lucky enough to do without a lot of help from people who have really just been absolutely fantastic. So I've got to say that as well. But yeah, in terms of Rog getting in touch, I think it was more, we used to do Facebook Lives with the Daily Post, which was who I was working for as a journalist. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe, I'd done podcasts. I've got to mention as well, Alternative Wales, which is a podcast I do every week. And I've done that for about, I think, over 3 years now, which is fantastic. There's Welsh football, culture, music. Mm-hmm. So I've done bits and bobs here, there, and everywhere, really. Sort of jack of trades and a master of completely nothing at all. So and that's how Rog got in touch. It came completely out of the blue. I did a bit of Googling to see that Rog had been on various shows, to see his friends with some very famous people in America, and it was amazing, really. And then they offered me the chance to go out to Philly, which was just an incredible experience. I've got to tell you, Josh. I mean, that's when it really hit me how big Wrexham now are. I can remember when I first started supporting Wrexham, it was hard to get people from 10 miles down the road to come and watch. It really was sometimes. And it was only really the diehards, the 3,500, 4,000 diehards who were interested in Wrexham. Mm-hmm. And then, now went over to Philly and, literally walking down Market Street, down the main centre of Philly, and people singing Wrexham songs, American fans singing Wrexham songs. And it was just like, it was a pinch yourself moment. It really was. Yeah. It's been just, I keep mentioning this word journey, and I hate talking like that because it sounds like I'm on the X Factor or something. But yeah, it has been a journey. It really has. There's no other way to describe it. And,
and I think long may continue. I think you guys are only getting started. And you made an impression on myself and everyone out there. And to the point about I was at the Manchester United Wrexham game last year in San Diego. Got to meet Wayne. Got to meet Humphrey and those guys. Interviewed them both, but by the world class guys and several other people. But when I was at the match, there was more Wrexham fans than Manchester United fans, and it was just like it just had that feeling. It was like, okay, this is big. This is big, and lots of fun stuff. And Raj is great. I really actually had a great interview yesterday with Humphrey. I might note that too. So Tomi Caws, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
And Caws means cheese. Does that Nipke? How did that come about? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. No, yeah, you've got it absolutely spot on. And by the way, I've got to say, fair play, because there's still people this side of the pond who say Caws instead of Caws, because that's how it looks. But no, Caws, it's Welsh for cheese. I worked in a cheese factory. I wish there was more entertaining explanation of that, but there really isn't. It's as simple as that. I worked in a cheese factory, and it's stuck. It's stuck ever since. I like it. I embrace it. It's a bit of fun. And there's a good friend of mine, Gary Davis, got to give him a shout out, who came up with the phrase. And I remember I was playing a football match locally, and some of the opposition fans, a guy called Russ Jones, who's a big Wrexham fan as well, Russ Giggs, he was shouting, "Come on, Caws, you dickhead," and all this. Sorry about the language. And and then ever since then, it just stuck. And I've embraced it. I quite like it, to be fair.
I think it's great. Listen, you're always smiling, making people smile. So the cheese kind of goes with it too. It's kind of great. I think it's great.
Cheesy smile. Yeah, the cheesy smile. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'll actually talk about, I'm going to butcher this, right? So I got the Caws right. So that was my only Welsh. People people are all over me with my pronunciations of the Welsh language. So I have a question from Ruby Slippers, who's a regular on the show. He said, "Do you play for Denbigh Wanderers? If so, does that mean he's a military veteran?" That's from Ruby Slippers on the show. But I know I screwed that up. So I'm 1-1 for sure.
Yeah, that was spot on. Denbigh, yeah, Denbigh vets. No, I'm not a military veteran by any stretch of the imagination. There'll be a lot of people laughing at the mere thought of me being a military veteran, but no. Yeah, sometimes in the cheese factory it felt like we were in the trenches, some sort of dairy version of the trenches, but no. Veterans literally just means an over 35s team. I'm 38 years old now, so we've got a bit of a veterans team that we play for on a Sunday, and absolutely love it. We've actually got in our ranks, we've got an ex-world darts champion as well, Mark Webster. So if any of your viewers or listeners have never heard of him, go and Google him, because he's a great guy as well. So he'll enjoy that mention.
What position do you play?
On the bench. No. I usually play. I usually play on the right wing. To be honest, we play as is sort of customary in veterans football. We play a very old school sort of brand of football with the old school formation 4-4-2.
Yep.
You don't really see in modern football anymore, but yeah, I play on the right of midfield, so on the right wing, and absolutely love it.
I played left back, always left back in the locker room for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I played on a team here for several years called the Geezers, all expats over here. Robbie Williams had like a team down here, and Ellis Geis has come and played. A bunch of great guys. So it's fun, but I'm terrible. It was like, okay, go ahead, go out there.
I actually remember reading in the papers about Robbie Williams. Robbie Williams had the team called LA Vale, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
that's right. Named after Port Vale, obviously. And I remember Vinnie Jones, I think, played for one of the teams. Is that? And I read the story, which I laughed at. Bearing in mind, Vinnie Jones was like 45 at this point playing, and an American guy who didn't really know that much about football said, "You're really good. Have you ever considered going professional in football?" And it's like, wow, yeah. I had half a decent career, to be fair. But
I did okay. I did okay. I've been trying. We have a mutual connection. I'm trying to get Vinny on the show. It's fantastic. But it seems like a really fantastic guy. I love his story too. On that note too, going in, like, obviously your day to day, your week. What the transition from, you said before about what the club was like, getting people to go. What have you seen since since Rob and Ryan and Humphrey have taken over and what they've done? What have you seen for the town and the people? I mean, just when I watch what you're doing on interviewing people, everyone just has, like I said, a smile. And like, what have you seen for the town for that?
Yeah, do you know what? I think that's honestly. It might sound a bit cheesy, but that's the biggest thing for me in what they've done, because Wrexham was a town, and North Wales in general. You've got to remember North Wales, just to give a sort of bit of background, I suppose, North Wales has been for a long time one of the poorest and lowest paid areas of the entire UK, and the Western Europe as a whole, to be honest. It's really struggled since, in the post-industrial world. Anyway, I don't want to go too far into that, but I think just to give a bit of context, Ryan and Rob have changed everything around Wrexham. They haven't just changed the football club. This inward investment we're seeing in Wrexham now. There's places, there's shops and stores throughout Wrexham in the town centre that have been lying empty for months and months, even years. Now people are investing. There's new bars, there's restaurants, there's people who want to invest. Okay, they're doing it from a business angle, but also there's this feel-good factor where, and there was something Humphrey said actually on the Men in Blazers thing. And thank you for mentioning that, by the way, because it was a brilliant interview, wasn't it? Yeah. And he said that someone had told him it had made people in Wrexham believe what could be possible. Mm-hmm. Whereas before it was like, well, we're from Wrexham, this is our lot in life. There's not much more we can do. This is the hand we've been dealt. There's nothing we can do. Whereas now there's that belief that, well, hang on a minute, if the football club can do this, we can all do this, as people and as a community. And honestly, and it sounds like I'm going really deep, but it's so true. given people a real belief that they can just achieve anything in their own lives and as a town, as a community, as a football club. So that is the biggest thing for me. But in terms of the fans, I think I just think, you know, we were really worried we were going to slip down into the 6th tier prior to Ryan and Rob taking over. No real fault of the Supporters Trust. The Supporters Trust had done a great job in getting the club on an even keel financially, but there was a couple of football decisions which weren't the right decisions, the poor decisions, and that left us looking like we're going to slip down to what Stockport County did. Anyway, long story short, Ryan and Rob came in, investment straight away. Phil Parkinson has done an amazing job, and now we 2 years ago, we were sort of having a little giggle. Premier League, no, we're not going to get to the Premier League. We might be able to get to League One. Well, we're in League One now. And all of a sudden you're going, we can do this. We can get to the Premier League. Why not? We're a global club now. We've got this absolute global appeal. So, yeah, I mean, I've probably gone off on a massive tangent there, but it's changed everything. It really has changed everything. It's not just a football thing. It's a community thing, and it's a socio-economic thing as well.
And you can feel it too. Like it comes through, you know, it comes through definitely on whatever everything's doing on game day, and you watch everyone smiling and how the community. I have lots of people that are on the local pundit that come on there. They're from the town of Wrexham. They say all the positive things, and it's just like, it just has that magic. I don't know what it is. They've just tapped into something that just has that magic. And I think people always want to be cynical about it because like Rob and Ryan are, you know, they're huge, you know, celebrities, but it's like they actually care and you see what it comes through. And that's why I think the show works. And that's why I think what you guys are doing really works. And just that connection to people. Not a lot of clubs, you know, can get that close to the players, the community and things like that, the owners. It doesn't happen that way. And it might not always be that way, but you know, you guys, it's really something special to definitely uplift the community. And that you travel home and away, correct? For the show. What is it like for you on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis? Because you do put out great content and it's fantastic. What is that like for you?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. But it's on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I spend a lot of time in Wrexham as well. But I've got to say as well, it's the reach across North Wales and even further afield. You know, my area of North Wales, as I say, 25 miles from Wrexham, not too far, certainly not far in US terms, but I mean, in Welsh terms, 25 miles is a bit of a distance, but you know, I think you used to sort of see your Man United, your Liverpool, and in recent times, Man City and Chelsea, Everton. Those were the clubs you'd see the kids running around with the shirts in my area, especially, and even in Wrexham as well. Yeah. Now it's like all across North Wales, all you see is Wrexham shirts. It's incredible. You still see those shirts, of course you do. Of course, there's Liverpool fans, that'll never go away. But just the rise in interest and you know the amount of messages on a day-to-day basis as well. Like, you know, I'm looking for a ticket for Saturday of people. I'm thinking, Christ, you wouldn't have even watched them in your back garden a few years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like that. Yeah, but it's great. It's absolutely great. And, you know, of course, you're absolutely right to mention that, Josh. People will scoff at it and say, oh, you know, the Disney fans and all this. But, I mean, from my perspective, it's all good. It's all good. It's fantastic. Yeah. The more eyes on Wrexham Football Club across the world, the better. So yeah, certainly just on that day-to-day, non-match day basis, the club has never ever been so big. Even in the glory years when they were sort of, you know, beating teams like Newcastle and Chelsea in the league, you know, that was in the late 70s, early 80s. So yeah, these are really special times, and I've got to say, I still haven't quite sunk in. It's been years now. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever sink in because I still feel like the Wrexham fan who, you know, you turn up to the racecourse 20 minutes before kickoff, and you know you can pick whatever seat you want to sit in. You'd have hundreds to choose from. You know that's I'll always remember that, and those were great days as well. We're very lucky to have seen both sides of the coin. Yeah. So yeah, it's absolutely sensational, and
it's the evolution of it too. Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people come on the show and they're so used. And you talked about Wrexham, don't Rex it up. You know, like you're used to that, but having the transition to be someone you expect to win, having that transition has got to be almost like a screws with your mind a bit, but then the magic happens, like when Fozzie saves a penno, and it's like, by the way, one of the greatest experiences I've ever seen in football, and I've been watching football for 20 years, but like that, I mean, having that mentality is just insane.
Yeah, it really is. And like I say, very, very similar to Wales, actually, I have to say. There was Wrexham and Wales, they've almost dovetailed it in what's happened over the years. Wales have had some absolute disasters trying to qualify for tournaments for like 50 years, and they got so close on so many different occasions, and like the football gods conspired against them on so many times, and it felt the same for Wrexham. In the last, since, what is it now, probably 9-10 years, Wales's fortunes have changed, and it's so similar to the Wrexham story. Like Wales now, we used to say, "Oh, Wales are just bottle it at the final hurdle," whereas now they don't. They almost, apart from obviously this year, we've failed to get there, unfortunately. But yeah, very similar with Wrexham, and Wrexham. The term Wrexham and it up, it's something we've done on so many times, fallen at the last hurdle, or that just something ridiculous has happened to make sure that we haven't achieved what we wanted to. Whereas now we're getting over the line. It's a mentality thing as well, I think. I sort of, what I love about Parkinson, Phil Parkinson, there was times this season where I started to have a little bit of doubt creeping in myself. We lost a few games away from home in a row. And I'm thinking, we've got to get to grips with this away form. It's not good enough. Yep. But at no point did the players or Phil Parkinson panic. They knew we were good enough. They knew we would have enough in the tank. But they were, at the same time, they were frustrated, but they didn't let it get the better of them. And that's a special thing as well. You've got to give them huge credit for being able to achieve what they've achieved. When, at times, I go think back to Salford away, which was a horrific performance.
216 headers. 216 headers in that game. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's a stat I had no idea about. But, I mean, it was just an awful performance from Wrexham. It really was. And they were boozing that away end, and it's starting to feel like, wow, this is turning a little bit for Phil Parkinson. Didn't panic. None of the players panicked. We got it back together, and then you look at the last 5 games, Josh. I mean, it's been absolutely incredible. You've got to hand it to him.
Yeah, and I had a question here from John H., who's a regular on a lot of the shows. He's like, what does everyone think about Parkinson now? When he first came in, he had those doubts, and like during that time of the season, we kick every ball, but then you could see now in hindsight, right? We got back on form. I think Gio and Stash being out, I think those were big issues. You could see in those last couple games, the interviews afterwards, you could see that Parkinson has full control, and the players were always behind him, even though we might have thought something different. But yeah, Parkinson, thoughts on him? I think he's a very, very special manager. But people can criticize, but it proves in the pudding in his numbers.
I think the sort of the thought process about Phil Parkinson has changed a little bit, including for me, because I was someone who subscribed to the theory, and it was quite a widely held theory that Phil Parkinson could get us up again this year, but maybe that's the limit. Maybe that's all Phil Parkinson can really achieve. Whereas I'm not too sure. I think maybe we can do. You've got to remember we've got fantastic resources now. We've got a squad who clearly like playing for Phil Parkinson. They can achieve what they've done without believing in the manager. So I've changed my opinion now, and I think Phil Parkinson. I personally think this year would be a good year to have just a little bit of, let's calm the expectations a little bit. Let's try and consolidate. Let's have a season of consolidation in League One. I think Parkinson's the man for that. I think we can start to build. One thing I'd like to see is a few young players coming in, maybe players who can grow with the club over the next 5 years. What Phil Parkinson's done very well so far is bring in your likes of Tozer and a number of others who have got us to this point now. I think we'll probably see a bit of a turnover in terms of playing staff. Yeah. You'll probably see 6 or 7 guys leave, which will be very sad. But this is football, and this is what happens when you're on a journey as we are. So again, there's that word journey. Yeah. That's my thoughts on it. I've been lucky enough to work closely with Phil Parkinson when I was working for the paper. And I can tell you, he's a really, really good guy. We had a bit of a shaky start because Wrexham weren't playing too well in the early days, and
you got to ask the hard questions. You got to ask the hard questions, right?
I had to ask a couple of tough questions, and he perhaps didn't like that. And I look back now and I think, yeah, if I was Phil Parkinson, I think, who's this cocky little knobhead? That's what I'd be thinking. I'd be thinking, who's this guy coming in out of nowhere and asking me, an experienced manager? But I've got to say, after those early days, Phil Parkinson was absolutely fantastic. He was a genuine pleasure to work with, and a genuinely good guy as well. And also, Steve Parkin as well is a really good guy. You don't see as much of him. But he's a really, really good guy. Quite the opposite of Phil Parkinson. Definitely more more of an extrovert than Phil Parkinson, I would say. But yeah, their dynamic and their partnership has just worked wonders for the club. So top and bottom, I think Phil Parkinson 100% deserves another year. And as long as we sort of stay away from the bottom reaches of the league next year, which I'm sure we will, we'll have too much quality to be down the bottom. Then I think he's earned himself another year, and we'll probably reassess next summer.
Yeah, I think the summer there are already a couple of guys went out today. Cushion went out today. There's talk about Macaulay. It's going to be a long summer of rumors and things like that. So I'm kind of looking forward to it too. Langstaff coming in, I'm not sure about that, but we should say last summer, they went away to the U.S. Humphrey said that I'm going to the game up north at Levi Stadium. They're going to have a couple other games too. Are you going to come out for that?
I would absolutely love to, but money is a thing, unfortunately. And I'll have to assess it. I'd love to, because I loved seeing Wrexham in America last year. I was only lucky enough to go to the game in Philly, but that was genuinely one of the best experiences of my life, and I genuinely mean that. I've been to America prior to that, but to see my team, to see Wrexham play in America was just unbelievable, and to see a stadium full of red shirts, people from Philadelphia supporting Wrexham against Philadelphia Union was a surreal experience. So
it doesn't compute,
Yeah. Sorry.
Huh?
What did you say then? Sorry.
It doesn't compute. It's like how does this compute? You know what I mean? It doesn't happen. Yeah. They're going to Vegas again too. So I heard that too. So as I say, if you come to Vegas or you're out here in LA, love to meet up with you. The couple of things I had too. So I'm going to ask this question. This comes from someone from the community. Okay, the local pundit community. Okay, so bear with me on this one. There's two here, but I'll ask one first. Our research. This is exactly how it's written. Okay, our researchers have told us that you hold the Welsh record for the most Wrexham fans in a Ford Ka. For the U.S. viewers, it's like a pregnant roller skate or a VW Beetle like little brother. If you could have any group of people, alive or dead, in the Ford Ka, if I'm saying that right, for an away game road trip, who would it be?
Well, I mean, for a start, I'd have to choose some people who are alive, because I wouldn't want any corpses in the car. Oh Christ, what a great question! What a great question that is. I'm not sure if I'm the record holder. If I'll take that all day long if I am. But
they said it was 7 or 8. They said it was 6 or 7, and they got out of that car.
It was 5 of us, but believe me, in a Ford car, it felt like 9 or 10, if I'm being honest. But yeah, and to add insult to injury, the game was called off, so we had to go and watch another game as well. So that was just incredible. It was unbelievable. It was a brilliant day, though.
Yeah.
And you can see that on Men in Blazers. That's a cheeky plug there as well. So get on that.
Check that out.
Right, who would I want then? I'd tell you what, I think just to see his face, I think it'd be hilarious to have Phil Parkinson in the passenger seat.
I guess.
I'd go for maybe Liam Gallagher in the back with Gareth Bale and David Iwan, who's quite a Welsh hero of mine. He's a politician, but Google him if you like. I think that would be quite an entertaining day.
Oh, that's a good one. Someone picked that out one too. I thought it was great. It's like one more here too. So we've heard through the grapevine that your karaoke singing is off the chain. What's your go-to song when you put your name down on a song list? Writing, of course, if the bar staff hasn't switched off your mic or sign tampering.
My reputation's going to be in tatters after this, Josh. This is absolutely.
Uh,
Listen to me, as if I had any sort of reputation to start with. Dear me. Yeah, thank you for that question. That's another great question. I like Rock and Roll Star by Oasis. That's one of my favorite ones.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I do like that one. But the song in question where I was unscrupulously chucked out of the karaoke bar in Wrexham was Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting by Elton John that I was singing that night. So yeah, that's another favourite of mine. But yeah, I love karaoke. Oh, you can't beat it, can you? It's absolutely fantastic.
Best, right? Yeah.
Yeah. There's Wrexham's very good for karaoke as well. If you're ever over in Wrexham, there's 2 or 3 fantastic karaoke bars, so recommend them. But yeah, whatever you do, do not unchain a traffic cone because you'll be in deep trouble.
I mean, so they keep picking these out. They're kind of good. Your cheeks hurt when you're laughing too much. Kind of put down there. Let me see what else. I have a couple of things here too. Yeah, I know we touched on next year and where we could possibly go. You seem to be close with the players. Spending time with them. What are they like? What's that like being so close to the players? I mean, like I said, I think you have the best job not being a player or the owner. Spending time with them, what is that like?
Honestly, it's amazing, and I still get nervous around it. I've been lucky enough to get to know a few of them. A couple of the lads who have come in more recently, I don't know so well. I don't really know Fletch that well. I don't really know George Evans too well. But the guys who've been around a while, I've been very, very lucky to get to know when I was working as a journalist and things like that. Aaron Hayden's a lovely, lovely guy. I've got to say, Ben Tozer, what a great bloke, and we had a great night out on that Sunday in the Fat Boar, and we went down to the parish afterwards in Wrexham, and Will Boyle, which that was the first time I'd ever really got to know Will Boyle. Just great fun, great character. Andy Cannon, we were winding him up about the lion, seeing a lion, and he was just really enjoying it. He loved it. Mark Howard did a couple of shots for me. Honestly, though, I have to say, because it still feels surreal. I mean, I get really nervous around them because I'm of course I'm a massive supporter. I've been lucky enough to do some of the work I've done, but it doesn't matter how well I get to know them or anything like that. I still get really nervous around them because they're my heroes. They're all my heroes. Every single one of them. They've achieved things that I'd give my right arm to play 10 minutes for Wrexham Football Club. So these guys are living my dream. So I feel really nervous around them. And thankfully, though, they're really, really good people. Now, I've got to tell you a little one. I'd had a few beers at this point, and I'd made a joke about Billy Waters. It was a joke somewhere along the lines of Billy Waters not being able to score in a brothel or something like that, and it was a bad one, and I feel really guilty that I said that. But James Jones told me off straight away. He said, "Tommy, don't speak like that, mate. That's one of our teammates that's out of order." And I just thought, he wasn't being out of order with me in any way, shape, or form. He was just saying that's one of our teammates. We won't have that. And I thought to myself, that's absolutely fantastic. That's brilliant, because he could have just laughed along and said, but no, he went out of his way to say, no, don't speak about one of our teammates like that. And that's how tight-knit they are as a group. Yep. And I'm sure if you've heard of Parky's policy of I think he calls it the no dickhead policy, I think is what he calls it. And that really shines through. He really will not sign, if Lionel Messi becomes available, but he won't fit into the squad, then he's not signing him. It's as simple as that. And that's another reason why we've had this success. So yeah, these boys as a collective and individually are just fantastic people. And we should all be very, very proud to have them wearing the Wrexham shirt. Another shout out to Jordan Davis, who's had a really tough time the last couple of years. He's such a talented player, but injuries have hampered him, and obviously some personal issues. But he's such a great guy, and I've been lucky enough to speak to him on several occasions. And he's one guy who I'd love to see him get another contract, because I think his ability, you can't keep a good player down for long. And I really think he can get back to where he was he'll be firing again. So that's one hope for me.
But yeah, people really like him. You talk about that the team. One player who's went leaps and bounds this season, who for me is the most improved player of the season, is Max. Max Clearworth is, and having O'Connell and Gio and some of the other guys, I call gentlemen. I call Boyle a gentleman because I think he could be in a Guy Ritchie movie for sure. But having those guys around him, Macca, who's awesome, having those guys around and keeping that community that team together. I'm sure that's why he's gotten better. You could see that he's just gone up, and someone we can have for hopefully the next 5 years, whatever it is, whatever we can keep him.
100%. And I think, as I mentioned before, I'd love to see us sign some players who can play for us for the next 5, maybe even 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've got someone ready-made in that aspect with Max. I want to see him come with us the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there'll be plenty of championship clubs looking at Max. If not, do you know what? I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but if not, some Premier League clubs, really, because I think this guy, the sky's the limit for this guy. I mean, he plays like a young Franco Baresi. Maybe that's my age in a little bit, but you'll remember Franco Baresi, I'm sure. A brilliant player and like a Rolls Royce of a centre half. And I really think that's the sort of mould that Max is in. Obviously, let's not put too much pressure on him and say he's going to achieve what Franco Baresi's done.
Crazy.
That's the mould. That's the mould in which he plays. He gets the ball down. He's so comfortable in possession of the football. He's strong. He's fantastic in the air. Like you name all the attributes you want in a centre half. Mm-hmm. Maxi's got it and more. So yeah, for me, he's got to be one. Like, give him a 5 or 6 year deal now. 100%. Give him a 5 or 6 year deal. Keep him at the football club because, the only downside with Max is he's not Welsh. Because he can play for Wales. That's the only thing. But
nobody's perfect, right? Nobody's perfect.
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Quite right. But I love him. I love it. And again, a brilliant young lad, just a level-headed young player, and just fantastic. So yeah, that's the sort of player we want to keep at the football club, and hopefully we can do that.
I hope we do too. And he's made some good he's got pace for a big. He's what 6'2", 6'3", good pace. He's made some tackles like from behind. John Terry-esque, getting in a really good lad. One guy who I want to chat about the team a little bit here is one guy. Ao Okonkwo, I know his time could be up. There's a lot of things going on. I hope we keep him. Fair play if he goes, but I hope we do keep him. He's been really solid, really solid.
Again, yet another one, a young player who we should be building the team around. If we can sign him, if we can keep him on, it's a no-brainer for me. I think we have to try and keep Arthur. It'd be great to have like a nucleus of youngsters, as I say. And how talented are these guys? They're absolutely incredible. Again, you will have championship clubs looking at Arthur, no doubt about that whatsoever. But I mean, we're a League One club now. We can pay good wages. We all know that. I don't think that's a secret. I'm not suggesting for one moment we'll pay over the odds, but we can pay good wages. So why would these lads want to go elsewhere?
Yeah.
It's an exciting, for want of a better word, project.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a great place for people for these young lads to come and play their football for the next few years. Arthur is a no-brainer, though. I think he's outstanding. There's a couple of people who've criticised him a little bit. I think he had a bit of a run of games where he's a little bit shaky around the Blackburn game. I think that Blackburn game hurt him a little bit. But he's shown the strength of character to recover, and he's been outstanding once again. You've got to remember as well, young goalkeepers, and by the way, goalkeepers generally take longer than outfield players to mature. And goalkeepers can play till they're 38 to 40. So listen, it's not inconceivable. Arthur Okonkwo could be an outstanding Wrexham goalkeeper for 15 years. It's not inconceivable. So why not get him tied under? I think whatever sort of fee would have to be involved. If a fee would be required, I think it needs to be paid. I think it's a no-brainer for me. Get him signed up.
When the Blackburn game, when you get smacked in the face, you break your jaw. I think, when you're 22 years old, that'll mess with you a little bit. And it takes time to get your nerve back, especially, as a goalkeeper too. He reminds me a little bit. I don't know if you ever watched, Manchester United when David De Gea came in. He was really lean, didn't overcommit to certain things. But below David, I think, is the better with his feet, that shot blocking. But, kind of reminded me a little bit of David De Gea, maybe about 10 years ago when he first came in. So I hope he stays, and I hope they do whatever they can. I'm sure we'll get the Wrexham tax on it, but hopefully, we can keep him out there. And then last guy we'll talk about is the guy up front is Mulls, just a different gravy. He's absolutely insane player.
I mean, until probably about 10 games ago, the conversation was, McMillan hasn't quite been as good this year. He's still scored an unbelievable amount of goals. It's absolutely incredible. Like, I think the injury over in the States last summer in the friendly, against Manchester United, I think that probably set him back a lot longer than just the games he missed. I think it took him another 10 games to get up to speed. But to score the amount of goals that he scored, and especially towards the end of the season, he's been absolutely outstanding. Back to top form. What a player, what a man. I mean, he's just bought into what it means to be a Wrexham striker. We've been very lucky. It's funny, we've had a lot of Scouse strikers, a lot of Liverpool-born strikers at Wrexham. Kyle Connolly, Gary Bennett, go further, Billy Ashcroft. Absolute icons and legends of the club, and Mullin's joined that list. He's a legend. He's already a legend. I'm pretty sure he'll go on to be an absolute all-time great. Who knows? He may even beat Tommy Bamford's all-time record, which would be something else, because that's an unbelievable total. Who knows though? Who knows? He's that good. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got great players around him. I think, Palmer coming back and playing his job. He talked about it, doing it when he was, getting the ball. I think, getting the ball to his feet, bring it to, and, but they're just incredible. I mean, all over the park, you could say that, this season. And like you said earlier, it's been an evolution of a season, and I was there, by the way, at that game when he got hurt. I mean, you could hear him get smacked. It was loud. So him coming back from that is never easy, never easy at all.
Oh, I mean, it's got to play on your mind, doesn't it? I mean, an injury like that, he said he was fearing for his life. He thought he was going to die, and he was thinking about his son and his family. And, it's the physical toll, but it's also the mental toll. I mean, it's got to be hard with that worry in the back of your mind, that, your next big challenge could be your last. So yeah, it's no surprise that it took him a lot of time, but thankfully he's overcome that, and he's back to the Paul Mullin we all know and love now.
Fantastic. And I'm looking forward to the game on the weekend. I was actually supposed to go to the Stockport game. I gave my ticket away, which is bad, but I just couldn't make it out there. Haven't been there yet, hoping to do that. But I guess my last thing, Young, what's next for you, and what you're doing, with your show this week in Wrexham, the Men in Blazers. And obviously, thank you for having on. What's next for Tomi?
Well, I mean, everything's up in the air at the moment. I mean, it's come to the end of the season. We're hoping to go again next year. That's going to be a discussion we're going to have, over the summer. That would be fantastic, because, to go to some of these fantastic grounds in League One, and we're going to be playing some genuinely massive clubs. We're all keeping a keen eye on what's going on in the Championship, in the relegation scrap there, to see who we're going to be playing. But it doesn't matter who comes down. There's going to be some really enjoyable games. So yeah, I mean, that's a discussion that's taking place. Myself and Men in Blazers, we are all really hopeful that we can go again. But there's a number of factors that we need to iron out, external factors, let's say, and we'll see what happens. But I mean, no matter what goes on, it's going to be exciting, and no matter what happens with whatever I do next, I'll be at the racecourse next season, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Can we go up again? Ooh. In the words of Andy Gilpin from Fearless Fame, can we go up again? Who knows? But,
no, you never know. Why not dream it? If you dream it, that comes true. It's awesome, And we didn't see this one coming, and it happened. So very hopeful. But listen, you're doing a fantastic job. I'm here in Los Angeles. I watch you from here, and very special what you guys are doing. And I really appreciate you taking the time for coming. And say hi to Raj for me and tell him he's doing a good job. And thank you all very much. I know everyone was very excited for the local pundit community to see you come on. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on, mate. Really enjoyed that. It's it's great to see all the sort of all the people covering Wrexham now, and it's just fantastic. And I've got to say as well, the thing that makes us so proud over here, and is sometimes some of the Twitter interactions from rival fans where they'll maybe criticize Americans and say, "Oh, clueless American." And the Americans will come back with far more knowledge than they could ever fit into their tiny brains. So and that's a wonderful thing as well. So, to have you all on board and back in the club is superb. And yeah, thank you for having me on today. I've really enjoyed it, mate.
Me too. We'll do it again. I hope so soon. And good luck. Good luck on Saturday. And the legend, Mr. Tomi Caws. Thank you.
Thank you. Diolch.